Welcome to episodes. Yeah, mic's on.
Oh, you got me checking mine as well. Okay.
Welcome to episode 6 of Doc's Dugout without Frank Osborne, but we are joined by our guest for the episode, my teammate, housemate, and mate, Rue Hardcastle. How are we?
All good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, pleasure. Good to get you on. Um, so we'll just get straight into things. Yes, I've got a Knoxville Marathon hoodie on that I was meant to run yesterday, and the boys smashed the run. But I unfortunately managed to do my ligaments in training this week at football, so I didn't do the marathon. But I managed to get this nice hoodie and the T-shirt that goes with it. But the boys smashed it and actually raised over £1,000, not dollars, pounds for kids with cancer. So that was nice from the boys. But I went and supported. And it was a good little weekend. But we're back to business, back to school and stuff. So we'll jump straight into it. Do you want to introduce yourself? What you're about, where have you played, what have you done?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm Rue Hardcastle. Obviously Nathan's housemate, teammate, just mate as well. I am a sophomore here at Union Commonwealth University. Technically, if you count my credits, but that one's a bit of a touchy subject. I'm 22 years old. Moved to America
Young.
back in July of last year. I'm a goalkeeper. Been a goalkeeper all my life, unfortunately. If I could go back and do it all again, I'd be a striker. I've said that many times. But no, yeah, love the life I'm living out here in the States so far. Sort of raring to go, chomping at the bit to properly get my teeth into playing football next season. But just kind of taking each day as it comes and seeing what comes of it, really.
Quite right,
Yeah.
just like the rest of us.
Mm.
So we'll jump straight into quick fire questions. Best player that you've ever played with, other than me?
Yeah, I think I doing a little short list. You're probably just outside the top
100.
10. I'll be generous. But no, I've been really fortunate to play with some really good players across non-league.
Yeah,
Obviously, you get so many filtering down the system, just the money that's
all
into
sorts
it.
of life.
I mean, played with and played against could be the same because he was a former teammate, a former opponent, then became a teammate, and then back to being an opponent. So I say for best teammate, I'd have to go with Brett Pittman, obviously former Ipswich, Pompey, Bournemouth
Done the
player.
rounds.
Yeah, he
Proper
played for
striker.
my last team, yeah, a non-league Baffins Milton Rovers for about half a season. Didn't quite work out. Obviously, he was an unbelievable player, even at like the age he was at the time. So disrespect to him, obviously.
I'm sure
I
he's
can't imagine
listening.
he's going to be watching this, or if this clip does find his way back to him. No, I got a lot of time for Brett, obviously, but I think there was just frustrations with the team he was in that
Yeah,
probably just led to it not
things
working
that
very
happens
well.
in
But
football.
I mean, when it worked, it worked.
Yeah,
Obviously, a player who's played in the Championship, got Bournemouth promoted to the Prem, he's going to bring some quality with him.
he
So
knows
yeah, I
he's
think that'd be my pick for
not a bad shout. To be fair,
best teammate. Yeah,
night in, night out.
always a night out for
Night
me.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think I was never really one for it all the time. Obviously, I couldn't, but I think as soon as I turned 18, got my green driving license.
when you've got the time.
Yeah, I think most Saturdays I was out and about. I sort of like went off the boil a little bit. I think that first summer after you turn 18 is obviously a big one,
Yeah,
and
especially no
then
football.
and then naturally as it gets
Free game.
colder, yeah, it sort of like lulls out a little bit. So I say probably from like 19 through to 20 or 21.
That's what separates the real men from the boys.
Yeah,
Who's in the pub on the Thursday nights in
yeah. Obviously, I think
November, December?
I was always
Not
up for
me.
the pub trips, but obviously like yeah, in the season I was always quite good
Yeah,
actually
got a
to fail
job,
like
got a job to
on
do.
the cokes, on the waters, whatever
Yeah,
else. But any time I could, it was out. So I'm from Portsmouth, down south in England. Good nightlife in the city, probably not as good as like a Southampton or a Nottingham, whatever else similar cities like of that size. But no, I always made the most of it. And then yeah, I think probably towards the last 6 or so months of me being in the UK before I moved to America, I certainly had my time
yeah.
with making the most of the nights out because
They're limited.
yeah, still miss a pub, really miss a
Yeah,
pub and a pub garden as well.
yeah,
Yeah,
big
what a
time.
joy that is now the
Yeah,
weather's coming
getting
back
better.
around.
Dangerous, dangerous. Penalty save or assist?
See, I've had a fair few penalty saves. Still yet to have an assist in senior
So
football. Come close a couple of times with just big long ones
yeah,
over the top, and I'm not sure I can count playing the ball over the top that caused a penalty to be given away. And he's
no.
then scored. Can't have it. So I'll always go with pen saves because I've got more of them, and
We'll
obviously
actually
the
get onto that.
spotlight's more on me as well. So
Yeah.
pen save all day.
Best striker you've played against? Right,
Obviously, yeah.
answer
If I hadn't said him before already, there's been some really good players in and around the league I played in. Duarte Martins and Connor Duffin, like both comes to mind. Just played for Horndean and Porchester and God, who else? Stoneham, respectively. Bounced around sort of between those teams, but yeah, every single time I came up against them, just
Give you a game.
wrecked me. Yeah, I think trained with Ryan Seeger and Danny Whitehall, both obviously former Football League players. Ryan Seeger, I think Southampton's youngest ever debutant at 16 years old when they were in the Prem. Dropped down the leagues to play for Havant Waterlooville, but both of them in training, couldn't get near any shots. I think Danny Whitehall and Seegs, both of them just, if it was a shot on any angle, it somehow always hit the stanch, always went in. And like when you're training with them at like 19, 20 years old, it's like you just kind of stand there and watch and try and learn. You know,
but that's all you can do. Be a sponge. Home or away?
Home. Yeah. Really, like I really benefit from being like comfortable in my environment.
You can control it more.
I've been very fortunate that a lot of the teams I play for have some very nice home pitches as well. It's not like I've ever been on like big slopes or horrible bogs, like flat pitches or Astros. And the more used to it I am, the more comfortable I am playing.
Afternoon kickoff or under the lights at night?
I think in my head I prefer an afternoon kickoff, like Saturday 3 p.m. But I think coming to mind, most of my better games have been in a Tuesday evening. I'm not sure what it is about the floodlights, but it's a real like flip of a coin. Sometimes it'll be the best game I play, and sometimes
crap.
No, not even crap. Just not a fan of it. You know, I think obviously you haven't got anything on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and you wait until 7:45 to play. I'm awful at planning multiple things for a day. If I've got a game in the evening, that's the 8 hours before it written off. So Saturday, because I waste less time.
I've done it every Friday for 3 years. Friday night under lights all league. The Castle League was just under lights, but I don't want to deal well with lights, so that was always my excuses when I've lost my man from the corner and they've scored. It was the ball's got lost.
Don't get me started on floodlights, because obviously playing in and around non-league and then the NEIA as well. The floodlights, the height they sit at, horrible. They talk about dealing with crosses and stuff. They're never in the corners, and they're never high enough. So you get like three along the side of a pitch, and it seems to be without fail every floodlit game I play, there's a free kick given away right underneath the floodlight, and it's delivered. Rota users in the warm up, just going like that, trying to
hit you in the head.
Yeah, I put two fists out and hope for the best.
Hope that hits it. Favorite takeaway?
We going like
back home,
broad sense, or just like
like after the game, we eating?
It's a really rogue shout, but we had there was a Vietnamese place near my house. Very rogue. A big fan of like Asian food as well. I think like Chinese food probably goes like 5th or 6th on that list, because you've got like Vietnamese, Japanese, Thai, Indian, obviously. Chinese maybe 5th, but Vietnamese for me, because it never really felt too like unhealthy either. I'm sure it was, because I ate enough of it. But
the guilt wasn't there.
No. Well, shout out to Bubble and Pho in Southsea, because rinse that place to death. Rinse that place.
Favorite beer?
Off the top of the dome, it's got to be an Asahi.
Good choice. The last guest we had on, Joe, went for, I can't even remember, he went for a cider and then he went Budweiser.
Really?
And then he changed it after I've slagged him for Moretti.
So I don't mind the shout of a cider, because some of them are
that's what
good.
I said. Time and place for a cider.
You ever had a Thatcher's Blood Orange?
I have not. I don't like Blood Orange.
No? So. There was Victoria's Festival, the local one that happens in Pompey every year. They started selling the Thatcher's Blood Orange in maybe like 2022, 2023 or 4. I can't remember exactly, but like around that sort of time. Well, when I was old enough to be ordering beers from festivals, even at 9-10 quid a go. But honestly, mate, they were worth, like, in the heat as well, walking around all day. Yeah, a bit of sweetness to it. Went down far too easy.
Dangerous game.
But
best park you played at?
It's a toss up here between Aldershot's ground, the EBB Stadium. Played there, I think, for like the Hampshire Cup or some sort of regional cup in around Aldershot. It might have actually been the Aldershot like District Cup for Fleet Town. Played there in a cup final. Bigger pitch than Wembley, like dimensions wise. Obviously not bigger the capacity, but that was really, really good ground. Grass was lovely even for April, May, whenever that game was. Portsmouth training ground as well. Played them in like a behind closed doors 60-minute friendly back in 2024. So not exactly the best ground, but like surface wise, best I've ever played on. Like almost too good. The ball's just zipping about the place. I'm used to
You've got nothing to blame your bob on.
I'm used to like bobbly 18-yard boxes, or grass is a bit too long when something gets bounced into me. But no, there was no excuses on that pitch. But those two just for surface alone.
That's fair. Last one, favourite song? I know this is might not even have an answer.
Off
Off the top of your
it
head.
depends day to day, but like right now, it's Heroes, David Bowie.
Yeah.
It's always my top favorite,
Yeah,
and
it's up there.
there's nothing else like tickling my fancy at the moment, so I'm gonna go with
Consistent.
Heroes. Yeah.
It's always on it. Takes us nicely on to the not so quick fire, but probably more in-depth answers that we've had. So your non-league day job was non-league goalkeeper. Back home, navigating non-league. Obviously, you stepped in the scene pretty young. What is that like? And talk to us through your football journey. Different teams. When did you break onto the non-league senior scene?
So I think I always bounced around like Sunday league youth football, sort of like on the outskirts of academy systems, but never really had a look in for a place in any of them. So I cut my teeth in grassroots football. I think, but I was always getting like specialist goalkeeper training off like a handful of coaches. Some I worked with really closely. Others sort of just like one or two sessions here and there. But I think it must have been maybe even as early as 13 or 14, like one or two coaches telling me, obviously knowing that I'm not going to be in the academy system, just get playing men's football as soon as you can. Obviously, because rules used to be a bit looser around like having players play at 15 or so years old. But obviously, the case it was then, 2019, was like as soon as you turn 16, play men's football. So to get my foot in the door towards the end of year 10, so I would have been 15, turning 16 later that year. I was very fortunate that a family friend of ours was the manager of Horndean Football Club, who were a Step 5 or 9th Division football team. And I just asked if I could come along for a pre-season session just to see how it is. And Michael Birmingham, Ledge, like unbelievable gaffer, set a really good sort of first impression for how I want a manager to be. You know,
did they spoil you?
No, absolutely not. I was 15 years old and I was treated like I was 30. It was brutal, and I loved every second of it. Burms, as he was known, like really big on his fitness as well. That pre-season started towards the end of May, and obviously like a wiry little 15-year-old kid, and I rock up in like long sleeve goalie shirt, shorts, and obviously it's a training session. I didn't know that obviously you didn't need to wear shin pads. In mental, so I rock up, like long socks, shin pads, 15 years old, and I didn't kick a ball once in an hour and a half, literally just doing doggies, off the back of their pitch, and it was like that for most of the summer. Obviously, then like getting into like goalkeeper specific sessions, and even just stuff like knowing how hard or how consistently to volley a ball when mate is twice your age, and he's got a game on a Saturday that he's getting paid £100 a game for. If he's not training right,
I've got a story on that. I got one of the first times I went up to play with the 18s, and I would have been like, 14, 15 on the bench, and it'll be Kenzie. Kenzie, if you're watching this, I can't remember why I was warming up, but I know I've been sent to warm up the goalie, and I've never done half volleys into a goalie before, so I'm just twatting the ball at him, and he's going absolutely mental, going like, oh. And I remember getting a ball looking off Webby, who was the guy, Andrew Webster. It was like, we're playing, it was Kilmarnock because we're playing in their stadium. It was like, our goalie's like, you're there to help them and all this, and you're just twatting the ball at him. And I was like, my argument in my head was I going to ask a striker to pass it nicely to him. I didn't say that to him, obviously.
I think I would have probably ripped your head off too if you'd said that to me. But obviously goalies do get very particular about how they want their sessions, how they want their warm-ups. And
which is fair enough.
Yeah, absolutely. But I obviously, at 15 years old, after my second session at the team, I was sharing an ice bath with this guy who was like 27 years old. Probably break some sort of child safeguarding rules, even now post-COVID. But obviously, it was all part of the learning experience, even in...
Which is maybe lost now.
I think
don't get that.
Yeah, obviously you get now lads need to get changed separately in change rooms, and obviously all the time they're under 18, they are by the letter of the law children. But I think there was something of roughness lost about that. But there's probably a few stories I'm not allowed to share on here about being 17, nearly 18 years old in the men's dressing room, and a couple of them just sort of taking jokes a bit too far. But I won't name names. Obviously, it's all in good fun, obviously. But I think I remember even like sessions in that pre-season when like the keeper coach wasn't around, there wasn't enough of us. Obviously, guys just getting chucked in rondos or keep balls. 15 years old, chuck a bib in. Right, my turn to like be the team out of possession, try and win it back. And obviously, as soon as you get on the ball, it's like, it's the kid. Like, we'll show him a lesson. Literally, I think maybe being like made to do a cartwheel in a challenge. I think Sam Hook or Hooky, literally made a point to clamp me. Because I was a nipper. That first pre-season was ace. Obviously said I turned 16 later that year in November, so going into year 11 then. But it was really strange, like just So, you know, having training session Tuesday evening, getting back in at 9:30, 10 o'clock, and then having double science first thing the next morning. My mate's going like, well, obviously asking me what it was about, because a lot of the lads are like some better footballers than me at the school I went to, but none of them, and that's what it was all about, was just trying to get ahead of the next people. And then I think literally the day I turned 16 was a Friday, and then that Saturday I was playing for Clanfield's reserves, so step 7 or 11th year English football, second team 16. At Petersfield away. We got battered 6-1. But I'll take pride in the fact that the kit was like 2 sizes too big for me. Obviously it's November, so it was a bog, end of November as well, so like a proper heavy pitch. But it would have been double figures without me. And it's like changing room probably no bigger than the living room we're sat in now, like properly like this. And then you go out and lose 6-0, and you like any other lad on that pitch, right? So it would have been miserable. But I was just, you know, ticked off the first of like many appearances.
We'll get on to that. What is it, 200?
So roughly? I didn't get the chance to do the exact maths on it, but I know that the last team I played for, Baffin's Milton Rovers, was across 3 seasons, not consecutively, because tried and failed a couple of times to jump up a division. Didn't quite work out. But Baffin's Milton Rovers, the team I played for the last 3 seasons, 127 appearances with them. And I must have racked up 60 or 70 before getting to them. So not quite 200, but, you know, a handful, half a dozen the other of getting to 200. And I think leaving non-league at 21 years old, starting at 16 when I'm making appearances, to be trusted that much as a young keeper. And obviously there were times that I really wasn't trusted as a young keeper to keep fighting and clawing. Just to
not do it.
Because I wasn't allowed coming out the academy, or like still in the academy and getting loaned out. You know, you got a Premier League, a Championship club, telling some non-league outfit, you got to play this lad. Like I had to earn every opportunity I've got, you know. But 200 games roughly. Couldn't tell you many other stats beyond that. I did keep them all somewhere. I've got a spreadsheet on my phone of like season by season, game by game of like.
It's probably pretty handy.
Yeah, I had like a habit of, I don't do it now because they keep stats like when we're playing at uni, but obviously no one else was doing that before.
So you've got
in the level I was playing at. So literally every time I make a save in my head, I go 1. Literally just keep a tally as the game goes on, and then
end up on 2.
2, 3, 4. That's on some games reaching like 11, 12. It was a heavy one. And then first thing I do in the change room was obviously strip my clothes off, get on my phone, and add it to the tally for the season. It's
probably a smart thing to do, especially for
pretty autistic of me as well.
But good for getting moves as well, because then you know exactly.
Yeah, it's not something you can ever really like bring to a gaffer and say, you know, I've made X amount of saves. It's like I can tell them the appearances and stuff, because that stuff would all be on like the FA websites and the records, but you can't go to a gaffer saying I've made 150 saves in how many games. And it's like, all right, proof then.
Yeah, sure.
See,
who's
got a VI, you know?
Right?
So it's.
What was your favourite team? Are you gonna?
It's probably Baffin's. I think they were really, really good to me. I think I joined them at 18 years old, bounced around a couple of teams before, obviously Horndine, Clanfield, Alton, and Fleet Town as well. Literally, I think it's funny because any of those teams, if I stuck around them long enough, like I would have got more opportunities. You know, like step 4, step 5 football. You know, whichever goalkeeper you're not playing behind is going to go to a festival one weekend, or he's going to get caught behind work, or he's going to like just not fancy it and whatever else. And like you probably would have got my chances there, but I think obviously being hungry and impatient, obviously, and being told you get your chance or you need your experience, and it's like, how am I going to get the experience you want me to have? So I think quite quick to jump away from teams maybe sooner than I needed to, but obviously it's all worked out. When I joined Baffin's at 18. And they raced to me, like made 50 appearances for them in my first season. Like I said, tried jumping up a couple of divisions. The season afterwards didn't quite happen. They were like really, really kind to take me back around September when they needed me to fill in for like a handful of games. Kept my place, and then stuck around for 2 more years after that. 127 appearances, playoff runs, cup finals, cup medals as well. Some really good story, really good group of lads as well. Obviously, they're I think a place outside the playoffs again in the Wessex League, but I think like looking at the teams around them, if you look at the infrastructure and the setup of the club as well, it's really well ran. They're investing the money in the right areas. Ollie Cook, who runs the social media, does really, really good job of all that stuff. It's like
done you too good. I think.
Yes, I'll get onto that later. But obviously, like AFC Stoneham have already been promoted from the league; they've won it. very early and deservedly. But I think there's another team that I'd be rooting for to go up. It's always going to be Baths. Yeah.
It's the classic cycle. You need experience to play somewhere,
Oh,
but
mate.
then how do you get the experience if you're not playing there, or you've not played at this level before? Not exactly, but that's why I need to play at the level. I need to be exposed to it to then go and get your move.
And looking back at it as well, obviously, like thinking of the kind of player and the kind of like lad I was at 16, 17 years old, I wouldn't have trusted me as a gaff, you know. So yeah, I would probably like try and be too nice.
Goalkeepers.
Yeah, for sure. It's like obviously because at the end of the day, it's like I want that experience and I want to get better as well. But like you just need to assemble an 11 or a 16 that's going to get you 3 points on Saturday.
Keep your job.
So the lads can get their 50, 60 quid a week or however much they get and paying their goal bonuses. And like that level of non-league, the difference between 50 fans turning up and 100 is massive, you know. And like you start getting peppered because you're chucking a 16-year-old in for the experience.
Then your job goes, and then
it's like even at that level where it is,
for your family.
It is part-time. I think even calling it semi-professional like is quite loose. But even at that level, mate, like the pennies and the pounds do count, you know. And but obviously, when teams do trust in you, you've got to return that favour as well.
Let them keep it.
I'd like to think most times I did. Obviously, there's a few times I didn't, and it's all part of learning football. You drop a clanger, you're not even just like not having howlers, but just not performing at the level you could. You're not going to keep your place, and that's like just because you get the opportunity. Just you get the opportunity, it can just easily be taken away. And
that's life.
Yeah.
It happens in all forms of. That's what I'm saying. Even normal jobs that take away football, you need X amount. Like we'll graduate from university, and it'll be like, some jobs we'll look at some positions, or you need to have this level of experience. Well, how do I get this experience if you're not going to give me the job? I need to get someone to give it, which is part and partial.
Problem for me in a couple of years when I graduate. Well, try not to think about that right now with the job market and the state of it. But
in both economies, America and back home. I'm going to check that, still recording, and fix this because that does not look good.
Sure. Cheeky little cut in there.
Yeah. I'm getting good at editing these days.
Oh, yeah.
Make sure it's still on. I get scared when I can't see it, actually. Yeah. Sweet. I also can hardly read my handwriting.
Is it?
I took these notes and I can't fucking read shit. Or I just can't save on the two. Yeah, that takes the next one is how do you decide when it's time to move? Which is what we'll talk about. You're just talking about that takes us on to the next point. When do you decide? Like, how do you decide when it's time to move on? We've jumped about clubs.
I think there's always a gut feeling that comes. I think sometimes circumstances like push it in a certain direction. So Horndean, who I'd spoke about earlier, the first pre-season with them, I'd like by January of that season, the following season when I turned 16, I was playing for their reserves as well, and it got to about March, and I had a month of like 8 games, and my GCSEs coming up as well, and then obviously COVID happened, and it got cut like that. Obviously, no one's spending, so the reserves got cut, and I was out of the team, and I
happened all over the UK. So in Scotland, it was big as well.
I had to find somewhere else. Fortunately, Alton took us in, like playing for their reserves for that season. But then moving on from Alton, it got to a point where I was in my second season playing for them, smashing it in the reserves, their keepers, like X, Y, and Z, whatever else. And I'm like getting opportunities in cup matches with the first team, playing well. And then I think it was the following cup match, of the rounds that we'd won, or I'd won, it helped us win to get there. And then he decides to play him because it's like different opposition, whatever else. And it's like,
you've just done.
Yeah, I think so. You get moments like that as well. You never want to be too knee-jerky around. I don't think I've ever like walked out on the gaffer off something like that, but I think it's the things that kind of get the cogs in your head turning.
You still got to look after your own interests.
There's always like warning signs and uncertainties that come with any team. Like even Baths, the last couple of seasons I played for them.
Football's
it's like sort of looking at
non-permanent, permanent job.
But there's always a gut feeling that comes down to it as well, and I think every time that my guts felt wrong. There's a going there. Every time my guts felt wrong, it's been the right time. Obviously, like there's. It's kind of
clubs have feels about them.
But you can't ever really say something was the right or the wrong decision because it's a decision you've made. Like you're never going to know if it was the right or wrong because you can't go back and like take it back. So I like to think it's all worked out every time that it's
everything.
Happened,
I'm a firm believer in like everything that you've ended up doing has then led to what you're going on to do. and that's just you got to take it with a pinch of salt.
I mean,
Sometimes.
if I look at every misstep or like sliding doors moment I have in my football career up to this point, I'd have like
You'd go nuts.
this podcast will be 3 hours long.
Yeah.
I'm already yapping and going over loads. So
That's what we talk. People talk about like cup competitions. Is like you play, say for example, a cup goalkeeper all the way through, and then you get to the final, and do you stick with the boys that got you there the whole way? Or it happened at Duluth when we were playing. We went through. It was the Minnesota Super Cup maybe. Same thing. I'm playing. We can every game up to the cup, and then it gets to the final, and then suddenly the gaffer wants to change the team, and then the boys were kind of like, nah, actually, like we. Why are we not playing? And it was kind of like,
yeah,
but he calls the shots. He's the
yeah,
gaffer.
it's
Gaffer
tricky,
for a
isn't it? I
reason.
think like because
Don't want to overstep your mark.
I mean, cups were always a good opportunity to win something,
Yeah.
But I think if you're winning up to that point with the team you selected, whether or not
Yeah,
you're just
change
giving
it?
them a chance. Yeah, in my head, obviously as a player, you're always going to go, especially if you're one being dropped, you're always going to go,
That's wrong.
what's going on? But if you're the gaffer, like especially when it's
They've
like
all got their reasons.
pressure points like that,
Yeah.
probably not overthink it.
Well, we actually lost the final that game. So, yeah. What team do you think you learned the most from? Or what age do you think you learned the most? Is it from getting like the door shut in your face? Do you learn more from that than you do when you're doing well? Or
I think so. The team I played for just before Baffins was Fleet Town, so Step 5 team as well, the next sort of regional league over. Joined them in like December of 2021 and then played for them for the remainder of that year. So I came in and like replaced another goalkeeper who was like out. I think I signed for the team that day. Like I woke up Saturday morning, think I was traveling with one team, like on the bench, and I literally get the call at 10 a.m. going, like, hi mate, like your info got passed around from someone else. Our keeper's got an upset stomach, can't play. Send me your info over, we'll sign you. So I think literally within 2 hours, I was then up on the A3, driving up to London to play for this team. Like never trained with them, never met any of them. Yeah, and then like had a really good game, and then like could carry on playing for them for the rest of the season. But I think I was sort of in and out the side.
Yeah.
So in the same sense, obviously that keeper eventually like sort of got dinged out because I was playing better than him. They then took a look at another lad who was like 6'7", whatever else, like great build for a keeper. He impressed in like a mid-season friendly. I like hadn't been chucking him in by any means, but like performances weren't like going the team's way. They're in a relegation zone, and he plays ahead of me, and I go, 18 years old. I was like, oh god, yeah, what do I do? I think unfortunately for him, fortunately for me, he was struggling with injury throughout that season, and then it came to it. And I think the last 10 games or so of the season were mine. So I played the rest of the league games. We eventually stayed up as well. So yeah. Like thing I helped where I did with that, and then we actually got to 2 cup finals. This is the Aldershot Senior Cup that I mentioned, and then another sort of regional one as well. We ended up losing both of those, but obviously I think, and then obviously same sort of feeling of. I think just with how some of the I'm never going to complain at being dropped. My performance haven't been good enough. Obviously, the way that,
but
I think the way that it had come about as well, and I think there was no sort of hint that I was going to be dropped, and I found out day of the game, pulling to the gaffer's office 15 minutes before the team talk, and I go, I think there was just a few things in and around that, and then when I was back in the TV and sort of the way I was being spoken to at times, even after having a good end to the season, it just didn't sit right. And Fleet was an hour and a half away from me. That's a lot of travelling to do when I haven't got my own car, and I'm being pulled in every which direction. So I think it's sort of just learning to
Then it adds to its maturity. You've got to go through it at some point to then come
absolutely,
but that's how it works, ruthless cutthroat business.
And I think from that, I just sort of I looked and went, I know my worth. Obviously there's a tendency, especially for young lads in that kind of system, to feel very grateful for what they're being given or being made to feel grateful. And obviously I think
of course a gaffer's going to make you seem, and you see it a lot in America. You get promised, coaches will promise you XYZ, you turn up day one and suddenly they don't speak to you. It happens at every club.
And I think obviously at 18 years old, I'm still a young goalkeeper. By that point, I had 50 appearances under my belt. It's it's nothing to be sniffed at that age, and it's I know my worth, and it's as it happens, and then they joined Eastleigh as a third year scholar in their under-19s program at around the same time joining Baffin Norton Rovers as well. So it's all worked out in that sense from there, and but I think those the 4 months of learning experience was massive. Yeah,
especially if you came over here as a senior mentality, I guess, because year-wise, you can still play. It's one of the youngest.
Yeah.
Like to play, but yeah, you come over with more experience. And like for me, played academy football, played a handful of senior games, 5 tops, and it's like different experiences. But yeah, everything's part on that. Biggest influences, a few role models.
I don't know,
football or not. It could be out of football.
So I've got to go with my folks first and foremost. My mum and my dad. Obviously, they've been my biggest supporters.
Had the privilege of meeting them this week.
Yes, yeah. So they're literally, I think, just as we speak, probably in the airport in Washington DC, flying back home. Obviously, miss them dearly already, but they're just out for the last 10 days. Obviously, like that's the lengths they'll go to just to come and say hi. Is like not everyone's parents are like fortunate enough to get to fly halfway across the world to see me in the off season and all that stuff. But I think they've been my biggest supporters like that since I was this big, and it's like I could play the best game of my life or the worst game of my life, and
still your parents.
And they're still my parents, and they never sort of like beat me up for any of that, like gave me the kick up the arse when I needed because they know like where I'm at and what I'm doing, and I never thought I needed it, but it was never like I never stepped off a pitch worried about what my folks were going to say, and then I think
which probably is the best way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think 2 coaches come to mind: Michael Birmingham, who I spoke about earlier, and then Steve Manning as well, former Bournemouth Academy and now current Portsmouth Academy goalkeeper coach. I worked with him from 11 years old all the way up till now. I still keep in touch with him and everything. And I think both of them just sort of gave me a very idealized look about like how I want my coaches to be, like knowledgeable, compassionate, but also like the right amount of scary when you need it as well. Yeah. But I think obviously every coach is different. But I think I've kind of spent the following years on from really working with them, kind of looking for a coach who's going to be like that because they've always got the best out of me.
Yeah, I think with like again growing up academy and stuff at the time, I speak about this all the time. At the time, maybe not mature enough to realise that they have got the best. Like they know what they're talking about. They're these 20-year pros for a reason. They've got like the ability and the don't even know the mindset, I guess, to know what they're talking about. Whereas other people here just go through their badges and it's like X, Y, Z. But whatever. That takes us nicely onto mindset. How do you prepare mentally as a goalkeeper?
I think my attitude sort of like changed. That's so fucking weird.
The reason this is funny is because this is actually the day after we first started recording, but we've put the exact same clothes on and set the room up the exact same way.
There are like 5 imperceivable differences. Like a spot the difference thing the teacher gives you. Yeah. There's a few things about this room that are ever so slightly different. If you comment on all 5, Nathan will give you a prize in the next podcast. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh God, what did I say yesterday?
Oh, it was so good yesterday. we filmed an extra like 40 minutes and our microphones died halfway through.
Oh, we were on a roll as well.
It was absolutely
really good answer. Sorry, this is all about mentality, isn't it? So no, I think over the years, like as a goalkeeper, mentality is like changed. Obviously, growing up in the game, you're still learning and evolving from obviously 16, 18, even now, 22 is still development age. But I think I was always based in sort of anxiety or a need to perform earlier in my career. Obviously, being a young goalkeeper, you want to like obviously impress and prove that you can hang with the big kids, and that you deserve to be there. But I think that sort of it's not like being a midfielder or a striker. You can't step onto the pitch and go,
turn it on.
Yeah, I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to perform today. As a goalkeeper, I could play the best game of my life and have awful preparation. But in the same sense, I could be so incredibly prepared for a game and have nothing to do for 90 minutes, not touch the ball once.
It's not as if you can't like dictate it. Like a midfielder can go, I'm going to get on the ball every time. You just have to wait to get
you absolutely, you can change the game, but you sort of it's still obviously it can be a proactive position, but it is obviously still dependent on what happens in front of you. Worst part of that is obviously you can have ideal preparation going in to play the best game of your life, and some mate you can shit ping it from 30 yards top bins, and there's nothing you can do, and that's like. So I think sort of you can't live and die by every game. So I think what I've landed on now is just turn up, but take it as it comes. Turn up, do my job, be steady with it, and that's as much as I can ask for.
Stoicism, control the controllables.
99 out of 100 coaches will want a goalkeeper every week who's a 7 out of 10. Like no complaints. Is fit for 50 games a season. Like doesn't need you to be up at a 10 out of 10 one game and then down at a 2 out of 10
consistency.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is probably the difference between top players and not top players. I've played with boys that you turn up on the Friday night and they're shit hot, unplayable, can't do anything, and then they'll turn up on Tuesday, train like crap, Wednesday, train like crap, Thursday, train like crap, Friday, play like crap. So you just went from being the best player in the park to now getting hooked after 60 minutes.
Like,
who's
putting your
going to sign you?
coaches, putting your coach's cap on, you can't rely on that. You know, those players can come on and certainly change your game, but you can't have it be that much of a lottery for your starting players, especially not your goalkeeper. You know, I don't ever want a coach wondering what kind of ROUX is going to turn up today. And probably at like times in my career when I was very anxiety and performance focused in like that need to achieve sense, they probably did wonder where my head was going to be. I like to think I've sort of leveled out a bit since then, but it's taken 200 odd games to get there. You know,
comes with experience. My good friend Mark, boy that lives in Nashville, Sparky, if you're watching, he always says that he's never going to turn up and have a 4 out of 10, but he's going to rarely have a 10 out of 10, but he'll consistently be a 7 and 8 out of 10. He's not going to come and have a stinker, but he's not going to, like, and I think he's shit top, Mark. You're probably one of the best I've played with, mate, so. How does your preparation change if you're number 2? Does it? Or
see, it's difficult being a number 2 because I think obviously you just want the game to go smoothly. I'm a bigger believer in the goalkeepers union than some others I've worked with. Everyone talks about it, especially like in the media and stuff. Or like you get your goalies podcast and they'll really deep dive into, is there a goalies union? You know, and you'll get some keepers going like, I really hope whoever's playing in front of me gets cropped or chucks in 3. You know, and it's like I think there's an element to that. You know, but it's like as a number 2 or number 3, obviously, you want to be in the starting position. Everyone plays football to play. But I'm never sat on a bench on a Saturday hoping the keeper gets injured or hoping he chucks one in, because the worst thing in the world is getting subbed on as a goalie. Hate it. It's happened to me a couple of times, either both with and without warning. Worst thing in the world. So my senior debut, my senior first team debut came about a year after my senior debut. Cup match playing for Alton, Romsey away. So like 60 years old, playing in the reserves mostly. Just brought along for cup matches for the experience of it, you know. And 10 minutes into the game, horrible Tuesday night game away from home in Southampton of all places as well. And 10, 15 minutes into the game, keeper comes flying out, clatters a lad outside his box, straight red card because he's the last man. And I'm on, 16 years old, and the kit that's too, it was the same again, kit that's too big for me. And then I've got to, shout at people twice my age to organise a wall for a free kick. Luckily, it went over the bar, but it's like obviously it was a trial by fire, and I think just since then I've never enjoyed coming on. Even in developmental settings or like pre-season friendlies, when you get told at half time you're coming on, you've only got 15 minutes to warm up, and it's like it always feels like you're following something, and it's like. I'd never wish for a keeper to get injured or be hooked even for a performance if it means me coming on. Like I want to sit on the bench with my mate eating Haribo's, watching the game, and maybe do a couple of jogs up and down. Not even have to have a shower afterwards, But being a number 2 is you want the team to do well, and I think your work as a number 2, your opportunities come in training, and you get it that way. You'd never. It's the same again. You can't live and die by every match day, spending 90 minutes going like. Or is he going to get injured here? Because it's actually sometimes more nerve-wracking than playing, I think.
I can imagine. Yeah, even like as a defender, I've still not liked coming on in a game because can I change the game? Like when I used to play centre left back, get a bit more influence. When I came on at centre half sometimes though, like when I was younger, you're coming on and it's like you can't change the game. Like you can only come on and be bad, like have a negative impact on the game.
Yeah.
So you come on and you win your headers and you play a few passes, cool, you've done your job. But you could also come on and get beat by the big 6'5" striker who's then just scored, and now you've came on and dropped a nuke. Whereas I'm not going to go and, like we're saying, dictate the game. I'm not going to go and score. I'm on the last 10 minutes. I mean, maybe. But, I can imagine goalkeepers, it's
even because, mate, even if you're playing centre-back, left-back, you can whip a free kick in the last minute to create something, or you can get on the end of a header from a corner. As a keeper, it's like, unless I'm coming on to save a penalty, it's kind of a lose-lose situation.
Perfectly cured. The next question was a penalty merchant.
Yes,
my research into you. Saved 3 in 1 shootout.
3 in 1 shootout, 2 in 1 game, like bits and pieces like that. It was probably my best trait for a couple of years.
Newspaper article as well. I was reading. Newspaper.
Worked in my favour for a bit and then didn't work in my favour so much afterwards. But I think with penalties, I always enjoyed them in a weird sense. Like obviously in the moment, you're always going like chucking your hands up, going, why would you give away a penalty? But I think in the back of my head, I'm always going,
I'm having this.
Because there's no expectation on the keeper to save one, unless he's like dinked it down the middle and you've done research saying 10 times out of 10 he's dinked down the middle. It's like, it's pure guesswork, and I love the mind games of it. I'm a really big fan of Emi Martinez. I think he's one of the best keepers in the Prem, maybe the world. But like the stuff he does with penalties, like literally FIFA having to create rules about him because he got in players' heads so much. Like I love the mind games of it, and I've never really had like a set method for saving penalties. In the recording yesterday, I said
it was good as well.
It was really good. Yeah, I said in the recording yesterday, and I'll say it again today. Like, if you asked me to write down a 10-step thing on how to save penalties, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
I've never I think I've done research and it's paid off in going the right way once. I can never tell you. Oh, look at his eyes. Or sometimes the terrible players get clever. They'll do stuff with their run up, sure, which way their knees pointing, whatever else. Like all that stuff. Yeah, you could, but it's like I've always found my best policy has just sort of been vibes.
Yeah.
Essentially, I think so. One of the first penalties I saved in senior football was we were already losing the game. I was playing against the lad who they gave away a penalty sort of late on. I think it was 3-0 at the time. This was to make it 4-0, but it's obviously early games getting the experience. Yeah. And obviously the lad taking the penalty, he'd been a bit of a showboat for the level it was throughout the game. Like thinking he's a better player than he was. And I think as he's lined up to take the penalty, I went, he fancies himself as a player. He's going to go across his body because it will look better. He did, and I saved it. Yeah, and it's like it's always kind of been that, like another example, playing in the FA Cup a few years back for Baffin's Milton Rovers against Horndean, who I mentioned earlier. We were 1-0 up in the game, like proper hot sunny day in August, intense game. Teams in the same division playing in the FA Cup. It's like those early rounds are so important, especially for the littler teams. And Horndean should have beaten us. They were the better side. We were 1-0 up again, facing a penalty, and I knew that I think the pressure of the moment was. Big bumper crowd, sunny day in August, 300, 400 people, big for that level. This lad's going to go same side because it's safer, and he did. So sometimes it's circumstantial. Sometimes you just get like an itch or a hint in the back of your head, and you just kind of got to go off
again. That comes with experience of playing the game.
And I think knowing people, but I think also as well kind of taking that pressure off a little bit with penalties is if you're doing it as an educated guess or what you think rather than. I've sat down with my goalie coach 10, 20 times this week, looked at all the penalties he's taken, because you can have all that in your head and you put it the other way, and then there's so much work that's gone into a moment that it's in your control.
Yeah.
It's a dead ball from 12 yards.
Yeah, no one expects a goalkeeper to save a penalty.
No, yeah.
The only time people will say it, and I think, is when they get a touch to it and it's like cabbage.
Yeah.
Cabbage wrist and it still goes in.
But the thing is as well, it's like keepers can't touch the crossbar now to put players off. They've got to have 1 foot on the line. Until the ball's kicked and all that stuff, So you're seeing goalkeepers standing behind the line on penalties and stuff, and it's in the last 5 years they've made them even less fair for keepers than they already were because got too good at saving them.
Was it Buffon? Someone wants to make goals bigger or something for penalties?
Yeah,
who's that? Some pro. Bit of trivia for you. I've actually been in 6 penalty shootouts. I've only ever took 2 penalties. One I scored. I was getting it was a school game, and have you ever seen the tackle that's I think it's Simunovic. I'm going to get slated if that's wrong. But it's something Kenny Miller on one of the old firms. It gets played at every old firm. Kenny Miller does a front flip.
Oh, yes, yeah.
I shit
the front flip. Yeah.
I kid you not. I played centre mid for my school. First 5 minutes, I played through on goal. Not expecting to be on through on goal. And I've not even seen this guy come over. So I've took my first touch, beat this guy, going same tackle, first 5 minutes, pure winded. And I'm like, oh my God, what's just happened? I played the game, but I was absolutely, and everyone that was playing in the game will know I was absolutely crap. I shit the bed essentially. I couldn't get on the ball. I was scared of getting smashed. Everyone was giving it the biggin. They had ultras at the side of the park. They had flares in this at a school game, banners. And all. It was crazy. It was a cup game, goes to penalties, and I'm getting. I don't know if they knew who I played for or something. I don't know what the deal was, but I was just getting dogs abuse, and I was just getting kicked every time I touched it. So I've stepped up. And I've scored this, getting ball as I'm taking the penalties, tucked it away. Then a little boy, Adam Kyle, little brother plays Celtic, but he goes up and the thing, he's little quiet kid, he's I'm going to dink it. I'm going to no, you're not. He dinked it and we won, to be fair. Run over to the ultras, give it that one, steal the banner, put it on the floor, we're all stamping on it, and they're all giving it. So yeah, took that one, and the other one was another school game. What happened? I took it. Keeper came off his line. That was the whole reason I was telling this story. Keeper came off his line, saved it, and I got to retake it and I scored. So yeah, that was a shitbag when it comes to penalties. Lost a Scottish Cup final because I didn't take a penalty as well, and I was probably going to get man of the match if we won, and we didn't. But that's that.
Sliding doors and all that in football. Yeah.
Everything happens for a reason, like we keep saying. Non-league realities. You're close to 200 games.
Yeah.
What is something that is misunderstood about the non-league?
Oh, I'm going to get back on my
Yeah,
soapbox for
this
this
was
one.
good
I
yesterday.
got very impassioned about this yesterday. I'm going to do it again because, mate, one of my biggest pet peeves about non-league is, you get those like football funnies pages on Twitter and all that stuff.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Pro Football, whoever else. It's like everyone in their grand's got like a football Twitter page, and they'll post like clips and stuff. And especially how Twitter is now, like you see the same 5 posts every other week, because people want engagement. And what always gets me is like they'll post a clip from like step 4, step 5, like organised non-league with like a ground
proper.
with stands, there's barricades, there's lads like in proper kits and stuff, and it's like it's for non-league good setup. You can see that in the video, and it'll be like something funny happening or some good goal being scored, and they'll go, "No way, this is mental for Sunday league." And I'm like, mate, that's step 4. Like the striker in the clip you're taking the piss out of is on 200 bubble league. Like that really gets me as like sort of below anything below like the National League even. I've seen Conference South, like National League South, like the Isthmian League being described as non-league, and it's like, mate, I've trained full time at both step 2 and step 3. It's like
that trend. The trend on TikTok is like POV when he tells you to step into my shoes or something, and it's like, now you're playing Isthmian Prem, calling yourself a pro. No, he's on 900 quid a week. He is definitely a pro footballer.
Yeah, effectively, and it's like, I think just like the depth and how like, I mean, non-league football is still non-league football at the end of the day. There's a reason those lads, but like I think the quality of football has trickled down so much. It's probably the only instance in the world of trickle down economics ever working, because the more money that's been pumped into football over the years, non-league has got better. The lower divisions, I think like step 2, step 3 now is probably equivalent to League 2 20 years ago or so, and it's like, I mean, some of the players you get playing there, like the attendances, the wages, it's ridiculous. People don't see that. It's like a big one my dad likes to talk about is obviously you'll get like a bunch of like the old lot of football talking about like how much better things were in the 70s and 80s with the firms and on the terraces and all that stuff, and being like against modern football, but they'll still be sitting watching the Premier League, watching the Championship, paying 40 quid a ticket, when it's like 20 minutes down the road from them there's a non-league team where it's like a tenner to get in, and it's like, and people care, and it's just proper football they care about. It's like the stewards are like 120 combined, and they're volunteers. You got some matey on the PA pronouncing half the players' names wrong. It's like Doris is giving you a burger and stuff at half time. That's a fiver and a bit crap. But if that's the proper football, mate, the thing is, you can go to the bar at any team in a non-league setup, grab a pint and have it on the side of the pitch watching the game. You can stand this far from the goalkeeper, Peroni in hand, and giving it the big chuck a beer in his face if you want to. It's like, if you want this proper football, go watch them watch them non-league. I think people sort of like commenting about levels they don't understand. It's like, and then obviously ripping into it saying like, I could play this level, I could play that level. It's like, mate, watch 10 games of the Wessex Premier League, 9th Division English football.
It's like when I actually seen it on TikTok again today, but we talk about this all the time. It's like people that say, "Oh, how many goals are you scoring if you're up front for City?" You start with none. You're not touching the ball.
You get hooked in the warm up in a Premier League
anyone
team.
That's the difference. Same with people League 2. We're so far off like League 2 players and League 2 players are to the Prem. It's like that basketball.
Whoever it was, like some NBA player was getting like dogs abuse on Twitter, and he said to the guy replying, like, it is a nibble, but he said to the guy replying, being like, I'm closer to Kobe than you ever will be to me. And it's like, obviously, lads in, you get people like, obviously on social media is like such a big thing just for people chatting absolute nonsense. But like people on Premier League saying like, we're talking about like Premier League players, like saying like, he's awful, he's a terrible player, and it's like, it's like some lad in the struggling Premier League team might not be very good, but for the Premier League, you drop him down to the Championship and League One, he tears it up. And it's like, at any level, it's like every time you watch football on TV, it's like it's the pace it is, and you watch that game live in the stands, and it's that little bit quicker. I remember obviously growing up mostly watching League 1, League 2 football in the stands, and then going to watch England play at Wembley at like 7-8 years old and go, wow, that's so much quicker. The then jump in speed and quality again, how you perceive it when you're playing against players of that caliber. So when I played against, I mentioned earlier, when I played against Pompey in that behind closed doors friendly, this was like their bomb squad essentially. The lads who didn't start against West Brom on the Sunday played in this game on the Tuesday. So like, non-starting Championship players, and mate couldn't touch them. Like that was could not touch them. The first goal, genuinely, I think they must have played about 17 passes in our final third, going from the byline on the side of the pitch to the goal line, and then a cutback, and it's like pop, 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 cutback goal, and I couldn't move. By the time you turn around, by the time I've got to my post here to square up for the cutback, it's in, and I'm like, mate, it's ridiculous.
Similar to me, I trained with the first team like a sprinkle of times at St Mirren, but the first time was like we're saying, like played on the Sunday or the Saturday, and then it was boys that haven't got minutes coming back from injury, and the next day, and they need so like some of the younger boys, me included, go up and train. It was, you know, Keanu Backus plays for Australia. So like, he left St Mirren to go to Morecambe, maybe. Oh, that's definitely wrong. He's back at St Mirren now, but like international play for Australia, played against Messi in the World Cup and stuff, like shit top. But he's came straight from, like, I don't even think he'd been home yet. I think he came straight from the airport, straight to this training session. He'd just signed. And I actually think I might have spoken about this before. And he's like introducing himself, doesn't have a clue who I am, thinks I'm a player. I'm not a player, I'm just a young. But yeah, the standard, how quick it was.
Oh, mate, yeah.
People say, like, know what you're doing with your first touch. You're like, yeah. That boom, as soon as you look up, smash.
Yeah.
And that's the way it is. I'm pretty sure I've spoken about this before.
But what gets me as well, so it's not even like, lads who say like, oh, you get played up front for City, and it's like how many goals you score in a season. Yeah. It's like none, first of all. But it's also like, this isn't even about like middle-aged fat blokes in their 50s and 60s saying they could do better than that. Because obviously it's a null point. That's like even like relatively fit, capable lads our age, maybe played a bit of football here and there. You put them in a rondo and a match day warm-up for City, they're in a washing machine. Yeah, they don't touch the ball. I don't even think they see the ball.
You can end up in a washing machine here against people you're living.
Yeah, I know. It's like you put anyone semi-decent, like in a Premier League rondo, you don't touch the ball.
Absolutely. Even like you look at the bottom of the table, Wolves, you end up in a Wolves rondo, you're still getting popped.
Yeah, you drop 3 Wolves players down into this Pompey team, and they're like going for playoffs. It's like, and those are crap players according to people on Twitter because they're getting relegated, but they're not bad players.
Yeah,
they're just not at the Premier League standard yet.
Yeah, you need to have a more even Adam and Owen spoke about this yesterday. Even like when I was in about like the first team, I know how the club's running that, and I'll tell them things like that doesn't happen in football. Yes, it does. And the big one is massive Celtic fans say they won't play for Rangers for 40 grand a week. Yeah, you would. You absolutely would. If you're playing for Dunfermline for 1,200 a week and Rangers come in for 40, there's not a chance in hell Owen and Adam are saying no.
No, on that as well, obviously. So but like the thing is, when you're in that football environment, you do sort of like know, it's like even playing a bit of football, like when I like been around like non-league for 50, 100 games, whatever it was, by the time I was like 19, obviously I didn't have as much time to go to Fratton Park or like watch Pompey, like play live, whatever else. But every time I did as well, like having then played a bit of football, mate, like the stuff that gets chatted in the stands, like you're saying about like we never play for your team's rivals, whatever else, or even just like why don't they do this, why don't they do that on the pitch? It's like even that little bit of experience does give you so much of an idea of. Mate, but I'd reckon with playing for my rivals when I was 12 years old. Yeah. It's like playing for like some ETC elite training centre, like set up as a ringer back when I was like 12. I think I played against like Leicester and then Southampton's like under 12s and under 13 respectively that summer. Like rocking up to Melwood, I think. No, Melwood's Liverpool one. Whatever Southampton's one is. I haven't remembered it, but like
St. James's, no,
I can't remember what it's called, but obviously like very famous academy. Obviously, blown away with this whatever else. You're going into a game where like you're like on show essentially against academy coaches. I'm chatting to my dad in the car at 12 years old, going like, "Oh, I don't know, Dad. Do it like what if they want me?" And my dad's like, "Well, you signed for him, you idiot." It's like, you'd be on path to be a professional footballer. What are you talking about? It's like, local rivals couldn't care. I was like, mate, it's not even like about signing for Rangers for 40 grand. It's like, mate, if Southampton came in for like £1,000 a week, and a car and a house, not even like money. Yeah. Sweet, yeah, sure, sorted.
It is.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's the insight once you're in, then you know what's going on. Biggest thing football's taught you so far?
I think just sort of touching on that earlier about like that learning to kind of relax and take things as it comes. Obviously, it's still something I'm working on now, like in a personal sense as well. But obviously, sport does give you those tools to be resilient and everything else. And I think those mindsets of needing to perform and needing to sort of live and die by every day, it goes with everyday life as well. And I think the attitude I am at now in terms of just taking things as they come, controlling the controllables. Like it's a phrase that me and you like love, isn't it? But it's like doing what you can in the moment to get things done. It's like not worrying about what the next game is, what the next week is, your next year, your life looks like. What are you doing right now to make things work? And that's, try and take that into whatever I do, uni work, like anything, any relationships.
It works in all aspects. Like started reading, I go through phases of reading. I'm currently injured again, as by the book. So I'm into my new reading phase and reading a few like good like mindset kind of books, and it's saying the same thing. Like, yeah, being injured also taught me just like, sure, it's cliche and like weird as it sounds, do just trust the process. Like, if you've got a massive staircase in front of you, don't bother about the 100th step. Look at the first step. You just do that every day, one step. Like, you read 10 pages of a book every day. In 10 days, you've read 100 pages.
Yeah.
Goal a game. But yeah, like, as cliche as it is, and as people will be like, oh yeah, of course he's saying that. No, trust the process, and it 100% works 100% of the time, I reckon. And that's me being wise beyond my years. What's one thing that you see young kids get wrong in non-league?
I think that, like, talking about my own journey earlier in terms of bouncing around a little bit and obviously getting very impatient with not getting opportunities, but obviously I still stuck things out.
Yeah.
And I think obviously just, I was complaining earlier about like coaches kind of pawning off young players, but I can understand it from their perspective. I think it's just sort of having that resilience and that trust in the process of, like, if you're not getting the opportunities, do something about it. Because it's like you get so many lads sort of like come through, and especially like, again, being raised on social media where they're seeing people with these instant successes, these instant gratifications of climbing up the non-league ladders or being instantly good at some kind of technique and training and expecting results. And it's like, maybe if you're a 16, 17-year-old kid, it's like 90% of coaches aren't going to play you. So either find them the 10% that do and will,
or go and play it, drop down.
Yeah, or drop down and find the 80%
It's an ego thing. Yeah. People do it, like, see it in academies. I played with boys that haven't played in 2 years, but like, say they've signed a 2-year deal and they've not played in the last year and a half.
Yeah.
Why don't you leave, go play? Like, under best example, Kai Montague, a boy, quite a quiet kid. He was in the 18s team when, like, I was, because we don't have 17s, so it's 16s, 18s. So he was the younger 16, 18s when I was like the senior 18s. Wasn't playing, left, went to a team, East Kilbride, which is a junior team. They're actually they're in the Scottish Pyramid now, but I don't know if they were at the time. Played under 20s, injury crisis in the first team. I think I've actually spoken about this in the pod before. He like dropped his ego, went and played under 20s. Like, he's still young enough to go and play it. Injury crisis in the first team. Plays, I think he scored 1 or 2 on his debut, gets man of the match. He then plays the last 10 games of the season. He then gets a 50 grand move to Raith Rovers, and Raith Rovers have just been promoted. So it's like, just like that.
I think the thing is as well, is like, especially as a goalkeeper coming in, if you're coming into a team, like, if you're a young keeper, you're probably not going to start unless they're obviously in a position where they need you to. Yeah. It's like, if you're a goalkeeper and you're getting cup matches in a season, great. If you're a goalkeeper working in a team, it's like, if you're a good egg, you're working hard, you'll get something. And if you're not getting something, find a team that will.
Will give you
it's like, and then obviously,
you have to play.
Yeah, because I think even like, obviously, it's even like, there is a certain amount of paying your dues in terms of like being a number 2 for a little bit, and it's like, in an ideal world, you're playing 50 games a season and you're not having to worry about needing to impress in a cup game you're getting in 2 weeks' time because you haven't played. But as a non-starting goalkeeper, which, like, if you get to a certain level, everyone's going to be at one point or another. You've got to be able to turn it on in a cup match when you're called upon to prove that you can still hang. And I think it's if you're not getting those cup matches or the opportunities, find a team that will. But it's like, once you find that level, sort of like earn and build your craft within it. Don't get 20 games at a team and then like want everything yesterday. It's something that's it's a trap that I'll fall into as well. That eagerness, and that seeing other people's successes and how they achieve things and how things are given to them, or so it seems, and not sort of appreciating my own journey as well.
Yeah, you got to climb the ladder.
Yeah.
In due time, due course.
If you're not happy, basically, with something that's going on, you're playing, do something about it. Yeah. And back yourself as well, more important.
Yes, but always, even if the coaches don't think that you're at that level, if you truly believe you're at that level, then make sure everyone else realises that you're worth to be at that level. So after nearly 200 non-league appearances, you jumped over the Atlantic and came over to America, straight to Kentucky. I got that wrong yesterday.
Yeah, call it the Pacific.
Yeah.
Unless I backpacked through Asia, I would have gone for the Pacific. But
they don't know that. Ocean. But you made the jump over to America, signing for Union Commonwealth. How's that been?
It's been really good. Yeah, I think obviously we touched on it earlier, but coming into like the college playing experience as an older player, my eligibility wasn't the same as a lot of other lads are given. Obviously, if you come into America freshly 18, even 19 years old, you get 5 years, to play 4 seasons. And obviously, you get some added, some taken away, depending on the eligibility and stuff. So, unfortunately, because of the amount of times I had played at a certain level and being very fortunate to play for a team like Baffin's Milton Rovers, where Ollie Cook, I can't remember if I mentioned him earlier or not, did a really, really good job with the media and stuff in the team. Like highlights, he had a GoPro behind my goal that I didn't even ask for. The Twitter was incredibly well ran. Obviously, through that as well, there's loads of posts about me. There's news articles as well built off the back of that media credit the club had. So obviously, whoever then was doing my incred report for the NAIA looked me up and saw X, Y, and Z about what I'd done. All my bad haircuts and all my good matches, and must have assumed that I played at a certain level that I didn't. To be honest, it was a good level of non-league for what it was, but it was nowhere near a professional level of football that would take away that eligibility.
Yeah.
So around April of last year, back in 2025, almost a year after I decided that I wanted to move to the States, and about 4 or 5 months on after getting my offer from Union in December of 2024, April of last year, I get a phone call saying they've taken 2 years off my eligibility, and I only have 4 years to play 2 seasons. Fortunately, I could get it done in 3 years because my credit's built for my BTEC and stuff. Obviously,
not an ideal position.
No, not an ideal position at all. Obviously, I was incredibly fortunate that the coach here, like John Shaw, obviously still kept me around, because it was a very decent scholarship offered to me, and that's a big investment to make in a lad who can't play at least 1 year of the time he's there, potentially 2.
Absolutely.
If I hadn't have had the 24 or so credits from my sports coaching and development BTEC that I took 3 or 4 years ago now, I probably wouldn't have been shown that same grace. But obviously came into the journey with America not really knowing what to expect, except for the fact that I wasn't playing. And I think sort of myself and everyone in my circles underestimated how tough that would be for me. Team had a really successful season effectively without me, and it's very difficult. I've been in the periphery of teams before, training with a team, being a training goalkeeper or being in an academy setup, looking up to the first team, but I've never been in a team and been so far in the periphery. Obviously doing the double, going unbeaten for however many games as well, not being the goalkeeper,
lowest conceding team in the country.
Gabby, I love Gabby. Really, really great keeper to work with, and then work for as well. Now he's transitioning into being my goalkeeper coach. He's got the clean sheet record now for the team, all time. And
it's crap that only the goalkeeper gets that.
Very true.
Play every minute and then don't get the clean sheet.
Well, everyone should get the clean sheet record, mate, right? Because it is a team effort. Exactly. But obviously Gabby got that clean sheet record, and had things been different with my playing, obviously Gabby was obviously still coming in, and he may as well every argument that he would have still had his place in the team, because he is a very good goalkeeper. I hold him in a really high regard, but knowing that it could have been me this year, and obviously in touching on that earlier, the future is uncertain. I can't bank on next season being just as good when I'm playing, hopefully. So I think my first semester here was really, really rough. Obviously, just finding things to do. Actually, and sort of staying nice and staying sane. Obviously, the environment, the surroundings were so different and alien. It was everything that I wanted from this journey, but then it all sort of was
hit you at once.
It all hit me at once. Well, nothing was especially wrong. It was just everything was different in a way that I didn't really get on with. So.
That's one that people say, "Oh, do you get homesick? Do you miss everyone?" Obviously, you miss everyone and whatever, but especially during the season, you're so busy with playing, you're training 3 hours a day, you're in school doing whatever classes, you're travelling to games, you're doing your rehab, doing homework, whatever, you're in hotels, you've got no time to think about it because you're thinking football, school, that's it. But then everything slows down, and at the end of the season, maybe you're close to going home anyway if you get to go home at Christmas. But you've got a lot more time to have a free mind on.
And it was obviously just all those things of that I was missing out on, that obviously I had nothing else but time to think about. I'm really fortunate to say now, obviously, that I did stick it out. A lot of those lads.
Everything that is non-permanent. Nothing in life is permanent.
But a lot of the lads who have been in my position or more difficult positions than me, haven't been able to stick it out. That's not ever a slight against their character. But obviously, it's just I was fortunate enough that things worked out for me having stayed. I'm in a much better place this semester. And
maybe you and I met your girlfriend.
No, exactly as well. The thing is, I was that close to dropping out. Honestly, it was things sort of turning. Funny enough, around the time that I met her, that things started to work out. But it's very fortunate to say that obviously this semester has been so much better. And obviously, hopefully, it just kind of keeps kicking like that. But it was best thing I ever did, hardest thing I ever did as well. Was just moving here in the first place.
It is hard to uproot, move across the world. It takes on nicely to what's things that you like /dislike / biggest culture shocks.
Biggest thing I like about the States is how friendly everyone is.
Yeah.
I think I'm very fortunate to be in this part of the country as well. Kentucky is a place that a lot of Brits wouldn't know a lot about, and I think obviously just it gets sort of bunged in with the South and all the stereotypes that come with that. But like here in Appalachia, or like even around this part of the country, everyone is so friendly. I've met some of the nicest people ever in my life. Everyone is so willing to chat and start conversations. Total strangers or people you've known for 6 months. And there's never any like performance about it. Like I think people are very, very genuine here, and in a much more sincere way than I think I ever knew back home. So some lovely people in England, but I think
an accent definitely helps.
and obviously very fortunate to be a white English speaking immigrant in this country, because I appreciate that the reality is very different for some other lads who have different experiences. But I think everyone has been so friendly and so like they've really made me even more outgoing than I already was just by being in an environment where I feel more comfortable to do so. Least favorite thing about it is obviously not being able to walk anyway. Even like we live in a very small town of 3,000 people. Everything is very spread out. But like you drive an hour and a half up to Lexington or an hour and a half down to Knoxville. The big cities of 300,000 people, about the same size as population wise as Portsmouth. Still can't walk anywhere.
Still have to
unless you are in downtown walking up and down the strip, you need a car to get somewhere to get
Same
anywhere.
with America's. Unless you're in like New York's, the Chicago's. I think where else I've been, you don't need a car. That's about it.
Yeah, and the thing is as well is obviously you could say the same about being in a rural village in England too.
Yeah.
But the thing is like if you haven't got a car in rural, exactly. If you're living in the middle of nowhere in Kent, you can still get on a train up into central London. You'll be there in an hour, 2 hours. Or you can get on a bus and go to the next town over where something's happening. Like there is still the infrastructure to support things outside of cars, which is just not something here. And it was probably one of the biggest things I struggled with last semester was not having a motor, and actually how much better my quality of life has been, even buying a shitbox Jeep that's held together with duct tape, and hope. But even having that thing to get me up to Lexington whenever I need to, or get to Aldi so I can eat better, it's amazing how much it improves your quality of life, and it's frustrating just how much it's needed. Yeah.
Life away from football, big into your music, big into your films. Actually, not got any questions, but like your films. We like your films, but DJing music. How did you get into DJing?
I think with DJing, I've always grown up around music. Obviously, this is something that it's quite a fun full circle moment here, actually coming on your podcast to talk about music, because I like to think my little podcast gig I had going on, I played a part in all this. But I won't,
big inspiration.
I won't toot my horn too much, but I think I always grew up around music. My mum, my dad, like both music lovers in their own right, very different genre-wise as well. I think I just sort of always grew up with that appreciation for it. It was never not on in the household.
Your dad came over with
he brought a massive hard drive on 50 gigabytes worth of music and stuff, and that's just like scratching the surface of the stuff. He was a massive collector of those things, and I think obviously as well, growing up with that appreciation for music and then becoming of age to start going on nights out, I think football and drinking culture are very interconnected, and obviously then going out at 18 and figuring out what club scenes to do, like what clubs I don't like. You start to get an idea of like, okay, who's the DJ playing at Astoria tonight, or they're the one-eyed dog, like places you like wouldn't know, but the local ones in Pompey will know. For some places better than others, and some nights better than others as well. I think just like even like having that control over how I wanted my night to be in terms of where am I going to go, because what's it going to be like, sort of gave me that inkling for wanting a bit of like control. And I think a lot of the time, especially when I want to focus or do a workout or something, I'd whack on like SoundCloud mixes, like Greg Wilson stuff, like really sort of like indie dance, very out there DJs, but so just sort of got me into the habit of searching out for hour and a half, 2 hour tracks. And I think I was just listening to one day and I went, I reckon I can do a better job than that. And literally just downloaded some very like rudimental DJ software on my phone, started messing around with it. Like 2 weeks later, I bought a tiny little DDJ 200, sorry. By the end of that month, I'd upgraded it to DDJ 400. And then a week before moving to the States, I've now got like a proper big all-in-one system. Yeah, and it's like it just grew and grew from there. I think it's like it's always really important. I think as an athlete and a full-time athlete as well to have interests outside of football. You can't have something be so all-consuming, because then it kind of feeds back into that living and dying by what you do. I think I've had other interests outside of football before, but none of them ever really stuck like this. And I think as soon as I sort of started messing around, figuring out what worked, what kind of songs I wanted to play, how I wanted my music to feel, it all kind of clicked. And I think having something so involved outside of football's been massive for me. I think
yeah.
like I remember the first time I ever got to like play out, I was doing literally just jumped in on a friend of mine, Manny Marty's set at the One Eye Dog. Funny enough, a place I went to loads, and then even just getting to stand behind the decks and jumping on his set every few tracks, whatever else, and do my thing. It's the most fun I've ever had on a night out because I don't have to dance. First of all, I'm useless at it, so I can hide in the corner. I can play the music I want to hear.
Yeah, you're in control,
and the free drinks help as well. It's the most fun I have, and it's funny because it's kind of like killed my interest in nights out a little bit over here. Yeah, because
doing it rather than...
And the thing, I'd got into sort of like then going to proper raves and stuff back in England, but like over in rural Appalachia, there's not too many boiler room sets going on, So it's like unless you're then going out on the town in unless you're in Knoxville or Lexington going out on the town, But even then, it's still very much like club music. Yeah. And now, I'll get a problem where I'll walk into places and go, "Wish that was me up there," But no, I love it. Haven't stopped loving it since I started doing it, and it's one of those things. It's like you can't really reach a skill ceiling with it or an interest ceiling with it. It's like
keep going.
You get it. It's the same thing with football though. It's like you find your level, you get it, you get out as much as you put into it, and it's a great thing to sort of have on the side for the moment as well, whilst my focuses remain on football. What I moved over halfway across the world to do, but it's something to step into outside of uni or in the spring season we've got less going on. There's worse things to be doing with my time.
Exactly. I think I've spoken about it on here, but I got told, I can't even remember who told me, it was like football's what you do, it's not like who you are. It's the same as any job. Like some people will say, oh, you're always thinking about your job or whatever, but like my sister's a good example. Got a good job, but as soon as she's not working, if it's not between 9 and 5 or whatever her work hours is, she's not thinking of work, which is like good to have something outside the football that you can switch off from. It's pretty intense, hard, especially during the season. It's mentally demanding, physically demanding. So it's good to be able to get away, and it's pretty fun messing about DJ. I've had a go at yours. I know a few of my mates back home have started to mess about with it, but I'm not very good. I'd rather just dance to the music. But
yeah, that's the thing as well. Obviously, is like you think the problem is I say the problem is like I'm not, I guess, a part of that problem, but it's like it feels like there has been probably a real explosion in people wanting to be DJs in the last year or so. But I think it was actually my girlfriend who sort of epitomised it. Was that like a lot of people seem to be getting into it now for the sort of joy of being seen to be a DJ, like just getting to sort of have the kudos of being rather than actually because they enjoy the craft and like actually have a real connection with the music that they play, because you see a lot of people wanting to do club sets and stuff because it pays well, you get free drinks, and it's like, but they're just playing top 40 remixes, and like, and
Spotify playlist.
It's like I don't want to set myself apart from them loads because I'm still very much a ground floor DJ in that sense. I haven't been doing it that long. I haven't got that many notches to my belt, but I'd like to think I sort of got into it for that deep-rooted passion in the music that I play. It's not for everyone what I'm into and what I want to put out, but it's like, man, if I play a gig, 300 people turn up and I get 3 to 10 people who've never heard it before and go, oh, this is mint. Like, perfect, Well,
it's the beauty of playing your own music because regardless if no one else does it,
you can't not
enjoy it because you like it.
Oh yeah, I think obviously I had my first all night long, my first club set in Lexington, also in the States as well a few weeks back. Obviously, you and a few of our boys came up as well, but I was really, really fortunate for a Thursday night, obviously a big student night, but still quieter than the rest of the weekend. For a Thursday night, like really, really good crowd came through. The set I think went well. It was really great. But I think I said it from the start, mate. 5 people could have turned up across the 4 hours, and I still would have had the best time of my life.
Because we were the last 4 people there for the last 10 minutes.
It's like loads of people came through, man. If it was just you four for all 4 hours, I still would have had the best time, because obviously, you get that love and that appreciation from like people close to you as well. But also, like, mate, I get to mess around and like do stuff with my hand. Like, I never know what to do with my hands. If I'm not holding a drink and I'm not drunk enough, I can't dance. I don't even know what to do. So it's like I get to literally keep my hands busy for 4 hours and listen to the music I want to, and it's a great time. Yeah.
You just touched on my question was going to be, you had your set. Do you feel pressure DJing, and is it different to football pressure?
I think like I've always been that sort of like very trait anxious person in terms of sort of whatever the occasion is. There's always going to be a bit of nerves about it. I think I've never really been more or less nervous for something than the other. I think there's always that same, you can trick your body into thinking it's exciting, whatever else. But like there's always something there, and it's like in a game of football, you want that first touch on the ball to settle you down. And the thing is with DJing, you want to get that first transition right and whatever else. But I think it's a lot easier to get into a groove with it and be more confident with it than say being an athlete. I think it's nice having something that's still performance based, because I can apply a lot of the principles from being a footballer into DJing, in terms of you obviously putting the work in, practicing.
The more you put in, the more you
Yeah,
get.
and it is like everything's mentality, but I think it's also quite nice having something outside of football that's a lot less sort of pressure adjacent, or like stress inducing, because once I get into that,
Once you're in the groove,
yeah,
and you
I
can
mean,
see it when you're up there and you're bobbing along,
yeah.
and you're right
And
into
it's great fun, like I think it's obviously it's good that it's hand related, and like like to think I'm all right with these as a keeper and a DJ as well, but I think it's just good having something else to really sink my teeth into. Don't get me wrong, mate. I love football, love footballers. Can't spend 24/7 around that life. Like I'd go insane. And I think it's
same as any walk of
I
life.
think it's great having something so involved outside of what I do.
Yeah. Same buzz from football, different buzz, better buzz.
Oh, it depends on the day, mate. To be honest, I like this. This is a funny one. So I think sort of as I was getting into like getting a few gigs here and there back in England, like with my mate, as I said, like jumping in on stuff, or even doing like full on sort of like back to backs, whatever else. I think there must have been a day in pre-season last year, just before I moved out to the States. We had a game on the Saturday, and I had a set at a bar around the corner from me later that evening, and I remember spending the entire 90 minutes just thinking about the set. It's like kept a clean sheet, was a good game, but I think I think like Ramsdale talked about obviously getting distracted in his mind, wandering in games. It's like he got like pelts for that, but I think like you're being dishonest. I think you're being dishonest with yourself if you say you're completely focused on a game of football for all 90 minutes, because ball goes out for a throw and takes 20 seconds to come back into play. Your mind wanders for a second, But I think there must have been this game where all I was thinking of in any downtime between like play or at halftime, I'm just thinking, oh man, what am I going to play tonight? Like, oh man, I'm really excited for this gig. I was fortunate, obviously, like it didn't affect my performance on the pitch, but like, sometimes I'll be looking forward to one thing more than the other. Like, obviously, I haven't really had to tackle what will be an issue for next semester with balancing, wanting to really sort of build a consistency with the DJ and that life outside of football, but obviously still then being in an intensive season of the day job. What I've been flown halfway across the world to do and be so fortunate to have is obviously I can't spend every week going, well, what am I going to play next week? If I've got a game on the Wednesday and a Saturday that I need to focus on first, I like to think I can hold a balance, but
we'll see when it comes.
Essentially, what I'm saying is Justice for Aaron Ramsdale. He got pelts for something that I think every goalkeeper, at least, if not every footballer, like, mate, your mind would like. Don't tell me that like a game hasn't got a bit boring and you haven't sung to yourself, like to switch back on or just to kill a bit of time.
I've thought about random stuff.
Mate, I've had gaffers like give the old hairdryer treatment in the changing room at half time or full time, and I'm like, I'm not paying attention. Not here, obviously, but like before, I'm just sort of like sat there like zoning out, thinking of anything else. It's like,
So you won't be anywhere else in this situation.
No, but you're like even
50-year-old guy bollocking you from point blank.
Everyone minds wanders. I think it's in that same way of letting football consume you and be everything you do and living and dying by it. You can't maintain that attitude for 90, 120 minute games. I mean, at the end of a 4 or 5 day training week as well. It's like, that performance is for that focus, but like, especially when the ball's at the other end of the pitch and you're beating a team 4-0, I am still on the edge of my 18-yard box going like, oh, you've got green.
What am I doing if this ball taking it on the chest?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
What am I spinning? What am I mixing tonight?
Yeah. So justice for Aaron Ramsdale, basically. I'm sure my two pennants is really.
If you're listening here, Ramo, we go by Ramo.
Mate. Love you.
What's next for ROUX HARDCASTLE, the goalkeeper, and Rhubarb, the DJ?
So I think for me personally, obviously our spring season's just ended, so I've got far too much free time on my hands.
We're just about getting to the summer.
So my summer season isn't going to be playing some leagues over here, which is obviously a big thing for collegiate athletes. I'm going to be obviously working and coaching, hopefully out in California, making a decent bit of money and seeing a bit more of the country as well, which I'm really excited for. Got loads of downtime before June doing that, and then coming up in July and August is my first playing season out in the States. Hopefully, I'm in a position now where my clock is actually ticking for my eligibility, and there's obviously no guarantees that I'm going to play, but I'd like to think I'm in a good position to take the number one spot here at Union and really make something of it. Hopefully, you can't So
back-to-back doubles.
Yeah, you can't put that pressure on yourself to perform and live up to whoever's come before you.
Yeah.
But obviously there are very clear targets for myself and the team of what I want to achieve.
Yeah, you just do your job.
Yeah.
You know what you need to do,
Yeah.
and if you're doing it
for next season, I'm going to be actually getting to just do my job. For Rhubarb, the DJ, my next gig is on May 21st at Radio Star Lounge in Lexington, Kentucky. That is 123 Main Street on a Thursday night. So bar opens from 8, set starts at 10, and we'll be going all the way through until 2 a.m. Do get down. Entry is free, and it's happy hour all night on Thursdays if you can make it. If you don't, do give me a follow at ROUX_Barb on Instagram to give heads up on.
Stick it there.
Yeah, clever bit of editing right there. Wow, look at that. ROUX_Barb on Instagram, and then Rhubarb on TikTok as well. I post loads of stuff about when my next sets are coming up and what to look out for as well. But
there you are, shameless plug. I was going to plug you. We're not even done yet.
No?
No.
Oh, wow. That was such a good way to wrap up as well. So YouTuber trained, and now I've actually got to talk more.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Is it in America? Is it football? Is it DJ? Is it married?
Yeah. Well, God, how old will I be in 5 years? I'll be 27 in 5 years. My God. I don't really know, actually. I couldn't tell you what next week looks like. I think less so in 5 years. And I think actually sort of living with that uncertainty of not knowing or not really having a strong will either way of what my life is going to be in 5 years would have stressed me out. But I think at the age I am now, mate, the most exciting thing in the world to me is I don't know where I'm going to be or what I'm going to do. It's like, but I think
that's what excites me as well.
Yeah, in that backing myself, in that reassurance of things are going to work out. I do my job and take one day at a time. Things are going to be okay. I don't know where I'm going to be in 5 years, mate. If I'm happy, I'm healthy, and I'm enjoying the day to day, perfect. That's what I want my next 5 years to be. Now I could be dead in the ditch in Australia. Don't really know.
Hopefully not the last.
Not really losing much sleep over it at the moment, to be honest.
Final question before you can plug yourself again shamelessly.
No, I've got to leave it now. I can't do that twice in the same
double plug. If a young Roo could see you now, what would he think and what would you tell him?
How young are we talking?
5.
5?
8.
8. Ooh.
Like, you're old enough to start knowing what...
Yeah, because I think at 8 years old, I'd been playing football for about a year, 2 years in Sunday league teams. I think if I could tell him that got to move to America to play football and do what I love, he'd be over the moon with it. Yeah. I think it's sort of just... I don't know what I'd tell him. Worry less. Yeah. I think probably I never lived with that sort of regret. Obviously, living with all those years of carrying much more of an anxiety than I do now has made me who I am now. And I think if I was ever less stressed at any point,
it's also a very common thing for kids to be.
Yeah, and the thing is, and I can't live with that regret. But I think I'd hope that he sort of chills out a little bit. But I think I'd hope that 8-year-old me is thinking I'm living the dream over here with my big car that looks a lot like a digger. Which I was really obsessed with, heavy machinery as a child. 3-4 years old, my mum and my dad used to drive me around Portsmouth in the car seat looking for construction sites, because I used to get really excited when I was diggers and excavators and stuff. Oh mate, honestly, neurodivergence off the scale. But and I think if 8-year-old Roo could see I'm driving a really big car, living in sunny America, playing football every day, he'd be buzzing. Yeah. And I never really thought about that before, but makes me a lot happier with my circumstances than I already am. So.
And everything always works out.
Yeah, look at you imparting wisdom on me.
That's what I'm wise these days.
This podcast is a force for good, mate. Honestly, yeah.
Between reading and podcasting,
you've aged about 10 years since you started this up.
Hopefully not by the looks. Shameless plug: ROUX_Barb Instagram.
ROUX_Barb on Instagram. Similar handle on TikTok. I can't remember it off the top of my head. Give both a follow and some love if you fancy. If you don't really care.
Don't bother. Yeah, not missing much.
Yeah,
no, you will be missing out. It's decent.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me on the pod, mate. It's been great seeing you sort of grow this from even the 6 episodes you've had so far. Yeah. It's got something special here. So.
Good job you said that, because I didn't know how many episodes. This has been episode 6 of Ducks Dugout with my friend, teammate and housemate, Rhubarb HARDCASTLE. Rhubarb HARDCASTLE? We'll go with that. Cheers, see you next week.